acknowledgments.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team in our August 20th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we are talking about the Brock Eagles.
Yep, and in the Brock Eagles, we are talking about one of the true reload programs in the area, and they're going to get a chance to prove that again this year. Coming off a tremendous 13-2 season, they lost 24 lettermen from last year, returned 18. Among those, just four offensive and three defensive starters. There's going to be a lot of new faces in those starting lineups, but this is just one of those programs that's just is so blessed with depth. That I would expect them to keep on rolling. But still, some questions to answer. They're going to have a lot of new faces and some key roles, and we'll talk about some of the biggest questions that they're going to have to answer here in just a few minutes.
All right, before we do that, we want to remind you folks to please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It's free. And then after that, hit that little bell, and you'll get notifications on YouTube every time that we post a video there. All right. And with that, Dan, let's jump into the Brock Eagles here. Go ahead and fire away one of your questions about them.
I think the biggest question right off the bat is we talked about they are going to have a lot of new first year starters. And the biggest one that kind of jumps out at me is that quarterback position. They lost a 2 year starter in Brody Woods, who is just a tremendous dual threat quarterback, did a ton of really special things for their program. That production's gone. So I think my question is what kind of production are they going to get at quarterback this year? Junior Holt Frazier would appear to be the front runner to take over that job. A good sized kid, 6'2", 200 pounds, really good athlete. So I'm just eager to see what if the next quarterback can come in and produce the way that Brody did for them. He was just, again, just such a key part of that offense. But that's going to be his graduation leaves a big hole there that somebody's going to have to fill, and I'm eager to see how they fill that.
Um, I guess my question would be just about this core group of seniors that is coming up. A lot of guys that saw roles as backups last year, but they're really just talented guys waiting in the wings to take their spot. They only have four offensive starters and three defensive starters back. They lost 24 lettermen, and normally a team would take a huge hit with that and with those kinds of losses, including your quarterback. But Brock is generally loaded, and I know that the Brock staff thinks very highly of this group of seniors, and there's a whole bunch of them. So I think that they're just going to reload but I think this group of seniors that is coming up will be the key to that. And generally speaking, Brock always produces the next bunch of guys in line to take over, and I think we can expect it to happen again. Frankly, especially with I mean, they had a 9-1 JV team last year, so that gives you an idea. It's just it's like a conveyor belt out there.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned the key point. There's a lot of programs we looking at those graduation losses, looking at what they have returning from a starter perspective, and kind of be worried. I think Coach Mathis is really excited about this group and thinks they're going to be able to contend for a district championship. So that tells you a lot about just where this program is. My last question, I think, could be after that quarterback spot, maybe the biggest in terms of determining this team's ceiling, and that's the offensive line. They will be young up front. They lost the bulk of their O line. My question is can the kids that they're going to be putting together out there, can that group kind of keep the standard that they've built the last several years? I think that will be key. I think they're going to have talent. We talk about it. Brock always has talent. They're going to have skill talent. They're going to have depth. But that offensive line is going to have to be able to get a push up front, going to have to be able to protect the quarterback. And if they can, I think this will be just a typical Brock season. But there are going to be some questions up there. You're going to have a lot of new faces up there. And a lot of times with that offensive line, you hear coaches frequently call it a team within a team. It takes time to gel. It takes time to build that chemistry. So my question is will they be able to do that during non-district so that once they get to district, they're playing at their best level and be able to compete for a district championship and then another deep playoff run? But with Brock's history, if I were a betting man, I'd say yes. That has been something they've done really well. But that is a question for this particular team. That offensive line is going to have to come together quickly and grow up quickly. So I'm eager to see how that happens, how that works out as well.
One potential key for them, they do have a couple of veterans up there up front. They have Logan Wolford, 6'2", 235. They've got Tobin Roger, who's 6 foot and 245. A couple of seniors, so they do have some leadership up there, and they do have some size.
Mhm.
So that'll probably be a couple of guys to watch.
But yeah, I think this is gonna be a really interesting season for Brock because a lot of those household names that we've been talking about have graduated. They still got a couple. Colt Matlock's a two-way stud. That guy, receiver and safety, is an absolute star. So
Yes.
that's he'll be a leader on him for sure. But there are going to be a lot of new names and a lot of new kids emerging. That's always fun for me covering high schools is getting to see the next group take over and the next man up. And this is going to be that opportunity for Brock this year.
All right. We're going to be taking a look at Brock's schedule for 2025. But before we do that, we need to thank a few of our sponsors, beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, call Rob. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254 559 2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Cavalry Resources and Construction, located up in Breckenridge, serving the entire big country, offering custom standing seam roofing made on location and all commercial roofing applications. Give Kobe Walker a shout at 254 246 5546. That is Cavalry Resources and Construction in Breckenridge. All right, and with that, it's time to take a peek at Brock's schedule for 2025. We'll start in the non district portion. Decatur will be the home and season opener for Brock. That'll be on August the 29th. They'll follow that up with a game with Lake Worth on September 5th. That'll also be at home. A pair of road dates will follow at Aubrey and at Fort Worth Southwest on the 12th of September and 18th, respectively. And then after that, a new school, Prosper Richland, will come to town and face Brock at Brock on September the 26th. And this replaces last year's game with the that California team that came down.
And they follow that game against Prosper Richland with their open date on October 3rd before jumping right into district with a road trip to Saginaw Eagle Mountain. They come back home on the 17th to play Mineral Wells at home, go on the road to take on Burke Burnett on the 24th of October, host Graham on Halloween night, and wrap up their district schedule November 7th at Bridgeport. So those super difficult non-district schedules you expect, and then district's going to be interesting because there are some teams that are going to have some pretty heavy graduation losses in both Brock and Graham, the two favorites from last year. So it's going to be an interesting schedule.
All right. Game of the year, Dan. I, I think this one sticks out like a sore thumb. Also, we've been seeing some districts like this. Go ahead, you go first.
This one's kind of interesting for me. I think we're thinking of the same game. It's that home game against Graham on Halloween night. That one decided the district championship last year, and you would expect it to this year as well. The only thing is there's so many question marks. Graham, like Brock, suffered a huge graduation losses. They're going to have a ton of new starters this year, so it's one of those where these two programs had a ton of success. You expect them to reload. Uh, so I expect that to be the big game, but it's one of those where we'll kind of find out a lot more about those teams after their non-district schedules than we know about them now.
I agree. I think I think Graham is at this point is the obvious game of the year for Brock. Although those first two district games um, might be interesting. It just depends on how Brock is performing. If they're performing the way we think they're going to perform, those first two district games, Eagle Mountain and Mineral Wells, they will be a prohibitive favorite. But Mineral Wells expects to field a better football team this year, and if Brock is a bit down from last year, those first two games become you don't want to just take them lightly. So we'll see. But I think Graham is the obvious one for the district championship, unless something unforeseen happens.
Yeah, and that Eagle Mountain team is an interesting one too, just because it's such a young program that team could make big gains as well. But yeah, interesting schedule, interesting district, a lot of changes for some of these teams with some of the graduation losses they have.
All right, with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Brock Eagles. But before we do that, we want to remind you that August 20th is the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day we release our annual preseason football preview, the most comprehensive look at area football of any media source, either in our area or statewide for that matter. We'll have team previews for all the teams that we cover. We will have more than 40 player features. We will have opinion pieces. We will have district predictions. We'll have stats, we'll have standings, etc. Everything you want in a preview is going to be in this. It is a ton of material. It's definitely worth it. Don't forget, August 20th, join us right here.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series, and make sure you come back tomorrow when we take a look at the Graham Steers here at BigCountryPreps.com.